Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm your host today, Val Pettigrass, and with me representing the 9th Assembly District, which includes Suffolk County, is Assemblyman Andrew Raia, and with him a very special guest that we have had before, and her name is Lidia Szczepanowski Goldsmith. She is an attorney, she is a black belt, and she is a former Mrs. New York as well as Mrs. America, correct? Look, you have so many titles, I don't know where to begin, okay? And it was the same situation the last time that we got together, but you are so involved in so many organizations, so many community situations, I don't know where to start. So I'm going to let you take over from here.
Well, that's very sweet. Just as clarification, Mrs. New York America 06 and Mrs. New York International 09. So I just gave up my crown. So that's what we have in front of me right here. But one of the most important things that I am involved with is a nonprofit organization that I founded called the National Organization for Women's Safety Awareness. And that is why I'm here today with Assemblyman Raia.
And she's a constituent, so we like to recognize all the good things that our most prominent constituents do, and women's safety obviously is very high up on the list.
And the last time that we got together, we were talking about a program called Listen for the Whistle, and of course I've got one right, my very own. And I think that what is stressed here is it's not just about being, you know, a pretty face or a beautiful face. It's about getting involved in the community, doing, you know, what you can to promote issues, especially for women, but in all other areas. But you're really doing a lot because you feel that it promotes a positive message, and also it gives young women empowerment.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And what's really interesting is that I found that because of the pageantry, it gave me an even bigger voice. But now that this is over, I still feel very, very passionate, very strong about the fundamental part of women's safety awareness, which is education. And I do have a seminar that I do offer called Stylish Safety. And what's different about my program is that it focuses mainly on practical awareness, how to avoid being the victim of a crime. And then the second component is actually giving women tools on what they can do if they are confronted with a situation. And it's about thinking. It's about preparedness, knowing in advance what you can do, because there's no answer. And with the nonprofit, with the National Organization for Women's Safety Awareness, which I also refer to as the NOWSA, one of the things we're doing is we're really focusing on our youth. Not just young women in middle school and high school, but the boys also, because they're both part of the equation. We need to teach our youth about behavior that is acceptable, what they can do collectively to just be safer and to live in a safer society, because as they get older, we're hoping that these principles and these concepts to apply to them, and that will move forward with them. So,
what inspired you to become so active, especially in the issue of women's safety?
Well, aside from the fact that when I was a teenager, I was 13 years old, I had an incident. I was a victim of sexual assault by a relative. And it took me over 5 years to disclose that to anyone. And as I'm sitting here almost at the age of 45, I don't remember what I ate last night, but I remember exactly what I had on, the clothes, and how this occurred and where this occurred. And I think that was probably my inspiration to take what happened to me, something that wasn't a positive, and turn it into something that maybe I can share with other young women in particular. I didn't disclose this incident for over 5 years, and I look back now and I say, gee, I wish I did, because maybe somehow history might have been a little bit different with, you know, maybe who knows what he's been involved with. So
there must be a lot of feedback that you get from this, a lot of women coming forward saying, I was the victim of an assault myself, or I can't imagine all the response that you've gotten.
I really do. And what's interesting is I think women feel a certain camaraderie when they hear that they're not the only ones. And I remember for a while I felt, well, why did this happen? What did I do wrong? Did I, you know, is this something that I did, or could I have stopped this from happening? And I think that, especially when you're younger, you know, as you get older and more mature and wiser, you realize that unfortunately, the only thing you can do is become educated, and that's why I want to share my experiences, which I do. I've spoken to Girl Scouts and Coalition Against Child Abuse and Neglect, Child Prevention Services, a number of organizations, and I donate my time and I speak to these young women who have been victims. And if you take the component of the crown and the sash with, me being an attorney also, with the nonprofit and with the black belt in karate, you take all of those together, and these young girls really look up to me and they listen to what I say, which is very important. So if I can make the difference in even just one life right now, and I know that sounds trite, but I really do feel that way.
No,
it makes a big difference.
I know that we were talking in the green room, and you have a dear friend with you here today who is supporting you, Mrs. Vermont.
Yes, my very dear friend Barb Yankee. We actually met at the Mrs. America competition, which was in Tucson, Arizona back in 2006, and we've been best friends ever since. Even though we don't live that close, we visit each other's homes and we ski together, and our families are friends, so it's really terrific.
And I think that one of the wonderful things that, it's always the show before the show that gets things started, and the fact that, women today, young women, girls need positive role models. They need to look at women as, you know what, it's nice that I look good or I'm pretty, but there are things that I can do. I can be a useful member of society. I can help other people, and I think that that's what you and your friend are promoting.
Right. Well, one of the things that I always say is I really try to challenge women to live a remarkable life, and a remarkable life is all about a well-rounded life. It's not just about what you look like or competing with your friends and neighbors about what kind of clothes you're wearing, what kind of car you're driving. And I'll never forget when I was Mrs. New York America, I did an appearance, and there was a young girl that's looking up at me, and kind of with the crown and the sash. And we started conversing, and I explained to her, I said, I want you to know that this crown and sash doesn't give me my identity, but I earned it because of it. So she looked at me, and she really understood what I was saying. And again, it's all about sharing your message, whatever that is. Mine is personal safety awareness, particularly for women. And but it's a greater message than that. That's just one component. It's really about living a fulfilled life and having a remarkable life. And there's so many ways that women can do that, and unfortunately, like you said, there are quite a number of wonderful role models, but probably the best role models are the ones that are at home and perhaps not speaking as candidly and openly about
It's wonderful to see women getting involved in so many different aspects of life, where we saw a lot of male domination, and I know that
I'm just window dressing today.
You are eye candy for this show, let me tell you.
Andy's wonderful.
I know my place in the show today.
Spoken like a man right after my heart.
No, Andy's been wonderful, though. He's been very supportive with what the message that I've been trying to share, and just really right in my corner there, and anything he can help with.
And it is about role models, and you are a fantastic role model, and we're very proud to have you in our neck of the woods in the 9th Assembly District.
And I think that what is important is there are so many other organizations that you're involved with, but sticking with this one on topic for just a moment, this type of thing helps to promote young women's self-esteem, because a lot of times we hear people, talking about, well, their self-esteem is going to be low and they're not feeling this or that. You feel good by doing, and I think that that's a message that isn't often stressed, that self-esteem comes by doing, by achieving.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things, in addition to the doing, and I guess hopefully some young women will see through example, Andy and I are actually working on a couple of other projects with the nonprofit. I'm actually here because I'm being presented with a proclamation where November 1st through the 8th of every year in New York State is going to be known as Teen Personal Safety Awareness Week. And one of the things that we will be doing is hopefully approaching either the Board of Regents or going to schools directly, middle schools and high schools, and we want to incorporate that subject matter into the curriculum of the schools, whether it be through their health class or gym class, who knows how. But that's now the vehicle, one of the vehicles that we're going to use. And then after we do that, we're working on Covers for a Cause, which is a terrific project. It's a book cover, paper book cover, that has little cartoons, very simple but thought-provoking, that were created by teenagers. And part of it has to do with safe dating, cyber safety, stranger danger, bullying, and there's great statistics and factoids and all kinds of good stuff on them. And we're hoping that, you know, the kids are a captive audience. They'll have this book cover and they'll be able to, you know, look at this and think, oh, you know what, I really should think, well, what would I do if someone grabs me? You know, what do I do? Do I scream? Do I not? Do I fall on the ground? And that's the key. It's about thinking
As the
in
Assemblyman is
advance.
smiling over there.
Depends on who's grabbing you, I guess. But.
Do it, Choco! And it's not just about physical strength, because one of the things I do in my stylish safety seminars, I teach it in a little black dress with high heels on, because I tell women, you're not going to be wearing sneakers and a gi in all likelihood if you're in an incident. So take your shoe and do the stiletto stomp, do the handbag hurl, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's practical, it's smart, it's knowing what you have in your possession or on your body, knowing the weapons you have, your hands, your elbows, your knees, and how to use them.
Now, I was reading about all of that stuff, about the shoes and the handbag and the keys. I want to know about the ATM card, because that was something I didn't think about.
Well, what happens is, let's say you're standing at an ATM machine. If you know the vulnerable parts of a body, you have a card, you have something that, believe it or not, if you, next time you have your ATM card, if you hold it, okay, grasp it firmly, and if you were to slice it against any part, particularly on the forehead or anywhere in the facial area, it's almost like a little razor. It's not a knife, but it is very, very effective, because people are not going to think that you're going to respond that way in all likelihood. Again, there's no answer. You don't know how you're going to respond. You don't know what is the best thing to do, but you need to have that arsenal of tools of what you can use. You know, it's like, which tool do you use under what circumstance?
Absolutely, because in a situation like that, who knows what they would do.
Right.
But, you know, and I know I don't usually talk about this, but I have a safety lock on the end of my keychain, you know, and it's pretty heavy.
Well, but see, that's the thing. I mean, you could use absolutely anything: a water bottle, a book, a pair of glasses. And it's again, this is just dealing with the whole stranger situation, because look, personal safety awareness has to do with not just strangers. It has to do with, you know, intimate partners. It has to do with, you know, people that you might know or don't know. But that's just part of it. So that component has to do with, if you're out there and someone, you know, you can't run away, because that's always the first line of defense, is getting away. But if someone's in your space and you know that you're going to be victimized, statistics absolutely confirm that the chances of you being the victim of that crime, a completed crime, are dramatically reduced if you fight back. So.
Now, we have some literature out there from your organization that we're going to show right now. And as a matter of fact, you can explain a little bit of this real quickly, because we want to save time for your award.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, as I stated earlier, I offer a seminar through my private business, aside from being a trial attorney. It's called Everything Lidia, so it's everythinglydia.com, and my program is called Stylish Safety, and I offer it to corporations and educational institutions, and I get hired to do that, which is separate from the nonprofit organization, which is the NOWSA.org, N-O-W-S-A, the NOWSA.org, and that's the nonprofit 501c3, and everything I do with my seminars, a portion of it goes to the charity.
Great.
So.
Well, this is a big proclamation, actually, and
Beautiful.
Hopefully we're not getting overstretched in there. But this is just you know, the first step until we can actually pass a legislative resolution commemorating Teen Safety Week and commemorating some of the great things, just a few of the great things that you were able to do on behalf of all the residents of New York State. So I present that to you.
Oh, that's terrific. It's beautiful.
And if
Thank you.
If it was up to me, we would keep on going. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We do have time to let you out there know how to reach your representative. Please contact Assemblyman Andrew Raia at, what's your phone number? There we go. It is 631-261-4151, and I need a pair of glasses. It has been a pleasure, as always, having you on the show.
Oh, thank
and we
you.
hope that you join us for our next edition of Assembly Calendar.